See, I'm going to go, I've done videos about Star Wars, but this one I'm going to go through and do a little more explaining, why, I don't know if I talked about this, but see, when Star Wars A New Hope came out in 1977, I was 6 years old. And I sat there and I watched it and I enjoyed it. And this is the thing, is that if you look at what George Lucas, like when he came up with this, I may have talked about this. This is based on his childhood. He went to theaters to watch serials, which are soap operas, but they're goofy and cheesy. And so his original trilogy is very goofy, very cheesy, very, yeah. And so the original trilogy, you can see it, how he, And the thing, like, his ex-wife had been his editor through all three, and when he did the special editions, he added a scene that she even thought was really bad, so she edited out of the film, which was the scene the first time you meet Jabba the Hutt. And in the original scene, he's an actor, a human actor played him, but when we get to Return of the Jedi, he's a giant slug. So the scene never made any sense, and his ex-wife was right not to put it in, because the mystique of Jabba should be the forefront, not seeing him until Return of the Jedi. So that was one. And then when he said Han shot first was stupid, and Return of the Jedi at the end, remember, Force Ghost is what someone remembers what the person looked like. So Luke would not see his father as young, Anakin Skywalker. That never made any sense. He would only project what his father looked like when he saw his face, which was when he pulled the mask off. It was originally Sebastian Shaw who played Anakin when he pulls off the mask. It would not have been Anakin Hayden Christian. He would not have been there during that. He would have been not involved. So I was 6 years old. I saw it and I said, I enjoyed the movie. I remember Obi-Wan Kenobi comes out and says that the Force flows through everything, it combines, connects, all that, So that's why in Empire, or what it should have been called, Revenge of the Empire, when Luke's training on Dagobah, he's lifting, trying to, you see the rocks being lifted. Yoda uses the Force to lift the X-wing. Okay, so when we get to and so I was like 6. I was turning 9 I turned 9 when The Empire Strikes Back, or I think it should have been called Revenge of the Empire. And I was watching it with my mom because nobody else cared to see it. And we get to the point on Dagobah where he's been training, and then there's this tree. And Obi-Wan goes, what's in there? He goes, nothing. Yoda says, if I remember right, nothing you don't take with you. And Obi-Wan says, be mindful of your feelings, they will betray you. So he goes in there and he faces Vader. Out comes Vader. And basically he cuts off the head and the mask explodes open, revealing Luke's face. So I sat in the theater. He's telling everybody that Vader is Luke's father. Yeah. And later on, when Obi-Wan says, all hope is lost, Yoda says, no, there's another I said, Leia is Luke's sister. I said that in the theater. So when they get to the reveal, I said, see, I told you that Vader was Luke's father. And this guy, after we left, comes out going, you ruined Star Wars. I said, I go, what did I ruin? I'm a kid. This is a movie for children. I don't know what you're getting all upset about. And I think she said, well, it can't be helped that you're too stupid to figure this out. And I go, yeah. Because I said to her, did you figure it out? And she goes, yeah. And, and he stormed off mad. So then we get to Return of the Jedi, where my little brother comes and sees it. And I'm watching, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I did. I was like, yeah, Leia didn't have any confidence, and then Luke gives her back her confidence. He faces his father. And, of course, another thing about New Hope, had my favorite actor, Peter Cushing as Tarkin. He was so cool because, and he could control Vader. Like the first time we see like someone actually tell Vader to stop, and he listens, and then he basically walks into Leia's space and gets her to back down without raising his voice, without shouting. He threatens to blow up her home, her home planet if she doesn't tell him where the rebels are, and she says where they are, and he goes, we'll find. I think he said we'll deal with your rebel friends soon enough. Proceed. And she goes, oh, but it's a peace open, and he blows it up, and it's like, yeah. And then when we get to Return of the Jedi, my reason for this had to be, well, I'll get to that, why I actually consider this my favorite, isn't just that it's actually well done. It was written, the second and third one were written by George Lucas. He didn't direct the second or the third, the Empire or Return of the Jedi. He wrote them with Lawrence Kasdan. His ex-wife did edit them. But, and this is something that stuck with me, what my mom said later. And I remember this because I watched the movie, and as soon as the Ewoks came, all the girls in the theater went, oh my God, it's Ewoks, we love these teddy bears. So for all of me, my mother goes, we went to the store, and at the time, I don't know if they still make these plastic, they had a weird, smell to them, and they had this mask that you put over with the rubber band. So she goes, you're going to go as Ewok. And I said, oh my God, no. It's like I wasn't fond of the Ewoks, till now, I'll tell why. She goes, girls will love you if you go as an Ewok. Oh my God, girls they'll want to hang out with you. And plus, you'll get lots of candy. So that day, I went to school, get there as an Ewok, and all the boys were making, oh my God, you're just coming after me. All the girls basically step up and go, if you don't leave them alone, we're going to kick your ass. All the girls would give me their phone number. Oh my God, she's right. Then later, our parents take us out trick-or-treating, and I filled up 3 pillowcases full of candy. They were just giving me the candy. They said, oh my God, it's an Ewok. Pouring the candy in. I didn't even really like candy at that point. Weird. But I gave it away to my brother. I said, no, you can, I didn't really care for the candy and everything. I was like, I'm not really into candy. And so then the special editions came out, and I liked, like in Empire, where they made Cloud City look cooler. But like I said, I had a problem with Han shooting first, adding back the Jabba the Hutt, and the weird thing is that he said, you're fine for a human, he's a slug. Yeah, and, but yeah, and then taking out Sebastian Shaw and having Hayden Christensen didn't make sense. Force Ghost is your projection of someone, so he would never have known what his father when he was Anakin. Now, that being said, like I said, the whole Force thing. Then we get to the Phantom Menace. I love Phantom Menace. I love Jar Jar Binks. I've said this before. When I saw this in theaters, the movie starts. I'm going to say it has the second best lightsaber battle in all of Star Wars when you have Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi taking on Darth Maul. Darth Maul is honestly the coolest looking Sith of all the Sith. He had the most cool, unique look, and it was just like, wow. And the double-sided lightsaber was cool. And there's a scene, and I'm going to get something. I watched Russell Dobler. He put his whole thing about how George Lucas ruined Star Wars with the prequels, which he didn't. The whole midichlorian, not only is it never mentioned that it's the Force, people assumed it was the Force. I said in my preview that midichlorians are not the Force. But I'm sitting in the theater and, oh yes, and the Jesus allegory. Yes, Anakin is supposed to be an allegory for Jesus. Well, in the Chronicles of Narnia, Azoth, the lion, is supposed to be Jesus. And I think in The Lord of the Rings, Aragorn's supposed to be a representation of Jesus, which is essentially the ultimate good that defeats evil. That's what the whole thing is, because Jesus, And I heard Russell bring that in. He brought up about the midichlorians being the Force, which never was said in the movie. And in fact, when he's checking his blood, she asks he's actually tested the blood and he sees it, notices the high midichlorians. By the way, the Force flows through everything. Bacteria can only be in living things. So an inanimate object like a X-Wing does not have this bacteria. So when he notices it, he's talking into the thing and he's recording that he believes that this is based on the Jedi text of the Chosen One would have a high midichlorian bacterial count. Is not the Force, people. It's a conduit for one to wield the Force. That's essentially, and I'm watching the movie and these two little boys basically go and lose their shit. I mean, some people groaned at when the midichlorian, but this guy, I didn't know he was sitting in front of these kids, and he said, no, that's not what he's saying. They were not shut up. They got kicked out. Their dad finished the movie, and then when the guy came out, they're with their father. They get in his face and yell, "You don't know what you're talking about." So he explained it this way. He said, the Force flows through everything, connects, as Yoda, Obi-Wan said in A New Hope. The midichlorians are only in every living thing that has this bacteria in it. So it means the higher the count, it allows you to wield the Force. So you're essentially, the bacteria are a conduit to the Force. And the kid goes, "Oh, that makes sense." And they essentially apologized. And the guy wasn't, he just explained it. And I thought, my thing was, like I said in my previous video, who the hell is Qui-Gon Jinn? But yeah, I love Jar Jar Binks. He actually he goes from a kid, because think about the Aborigines. When they want their boys to become men, they send them out to learn how to become men, then come back. So in this, Jar Jar Binks has been kicked out of and he's sent out to become a man. So when he comes back, they think he's grown up, and so that's why at the end of the movie they make him a general during the final bout with the Trade Federation. People didn't realize that, and so yeah. So yes, when Qui-Gon Jinn asked her, Anakin's mother, about his father, he says he has no father, and that she remembers getting pregnant, and boom, there, and then she was pregnant. Bright light, boom. Yes, Jesus metaphor. Is it overwhelming in the movie? Hell no. But the thing is that Jar Jar Binks has a growth. He's a kid. By the second movie, the one time he reverts when he sees Anakin from being a little boy to where he is now. He goes, "Oh man, look," and he wants so big. Anakin shuts him down by saying, like I said before, by just going, yeah, nice to see you too, Jar Jar. And so yeah, and I just love the lightsaber battle, And here's the thing, Qui-Gon Jinn's the only one that actually believes in Anakin. He says he believes he's the chosen one. Obi-Wan doesn't. Yoda doesn't. All he senses fear. Why? Because his mother's still a slave. And so he says it leads to the dark side and all this stuff. And then when they're facing Darth Maul, which, goddamn, that battle was fun. That lightsaber battle was awesome. It seals it as the second greatest. I'll get to what the greatest lightsaber battle. But this battle was awesome, and then Qui-Gon Jinn stabbed through by Darth Maul, and then Obi-Wan does go to the dark side. He gets pissed, which, remember, fear, anger leads the dark side. He picks it, he's waiting. He can't wait. Darth Maul's waiting for him, and then they fight. He ends up basically getting angry and using, anger of the Force to basically, surprise Darth Maul and cut his lightsaber in half. Darth Maul basically knocks him. Then, this is funny because in Revenge of the Sith, when he has the high ground, he goes, "I have the high ground." Well, Darth Maul had the high ground. How'd that turn out? He got sliced in half and dies. Fuck you, Dave Filoni. But yeah, and then as he asks Obi-Wan to train him. So he says, "Yes, I will train him to become a Jedi." But he never does. That's the whole point when he says, "I failed you." He never really trained Anakin Skywalker. Remember, they believe he's the chosen one, but they treat him like a child. So he gets frustrated. So yeah, and then the unfortunate part of the one of the worst lightsaber battles has to be at the end of Attack of the Clones. That is where you have Anakin versus Count Dooku, and you could tell Christopher Lee his age was really a factor because that looked so bad. And then of course they have Yoda jump through the air, do all that stuff. But yeah, and this is where, and I've said it, Hayden Christensen can act. He cries on cue after he does it. And this also, you have the rise of Palpatine when nobody suspected. Remember, millennia ago, the Jedi thought they had wiped out the Sith. That's why they didn't suspect they were back, even when they saw Darth Maul. They don't know it's Palpatine. They can't sense that he is the Sith Lord. And yeah, they don't know that he has plans for a Death Star. Of course, we see it, with Count Dooku. He has the plans for the Death Star, the ultimate weapon, but we also have the downfall of Anakin. He's the chosen one. He represents all the good that's going to snuff out the darkness. So the tragedy is his downfall is so tragic, it's heartbreaking to watch. His mother and then when he goes back in Attack of the Clones, he finds out, he meets his half brother, and then he finds out that his mother's been kidnapped by the Sand People. He goes there, and as he sees her, she dies. He goes back, buries her, and then goes back, murders all the Sand People. When he goes back to Padme, he breaks down crying and says that he murdered all the. Horrified, she didn't know what to do. So his downfall is starting to happen. He's being let down by the Jedi. He even says, "They told me I'm the chosen one, but they treat me like a child." His frustration's growing. There's nobody. Obi-Wan isn't helping. Padme doesn't even tell Obi-Wan what he did to try to help him. There's no one to help him. He's getting more. This is where his downfall is so tragic. And then he's sent to go to Palpatine. Ian McDiarmid, thank God you were Palpatine. And so Palpatine's going to be honest, manipulate him through honesty. I've said this before. The only part he lies is that he'll save his wife because his grandkids, especially Luke, cannot be born. He sees in the future, he knows his grandson, Luke, will be his death and redeem his father. So he has to make sure Padme doesn't survive, the twins don't survive, he can continue being evil. So yeah. So his plans are working, and like I said, in Revenge of the Sith, we finally learned that what the Jedi did, they essentially wiped out what they thought were the Sith, and Plagueis taught Palpatine everything, Sheev Palpatine everything he knows about the Force, including the dark arts, which he said you can save people, heal people using the Force, you can, you can resurrect the dead. So you can actually save someone from dying too. And these are forbidden, of course, according to the Jedi. And then at the end he tells them, go tell the Jedi. He waits for him. Like I said, it's also the rise of the Emperor. Sheev Palpatine, Sith Lord, becomes the Emperor. That's what I love about the trilogy is that it's a lot of people got mad because of the midichlorian thing. They didn't understand. Oh, there's politics. Here's the thing. I knew before that, this was going to have a lot. The first one was going to deal with politics because we're getting the Republic at the early days. It made sense there would be politics. There's always politics and stuff. So it didn't bother me. I know a lot of people hate this. Russell didn't like the fact there was a lot of politics in it. It wasn't like the original trilogy because remember, the Empire had won. The rebels were just trying to defeat them. That's why it was different. You didn't have to deal with all the governing and all that stuff. I actually like that about the prequels. And then between 2 and 3, Genndy, who did Dexter's Lab, I know I brought this up before, he and George Lucas worked on the original Clone Wars. It's on YouTube. Go watch it. It's amazing. It has no Ahsoka, and it ends right where the Revenge of the Sith comes. Like I said, and the best lightsaber battle. There's 2 battles going on at the end of this movie. One is the greatest lightsaber battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan, which, God damn, that was awesome. And then you have Yoda versus Palpatine, Emperor Palpatine, and it's just, and you see that Palpatine's way stronger than Yoda, and he basically, they start fighting, and then Palpatine gets his lightsaber knocked out, so he starts throwing things and laughing at Yoda, and Yoda realizes he can't beat Palpatine. He's not strong enough, his age and everything, so he goes into hiding. But this lightsaber battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin is great. The dialogue's amazing. You're seeing two actors really prove that they can act. I mean, it's just, it goes, some people say it went on too long. I thought it was great for the length of it, the speech, and then when Obi-Wan admits, I failed you, he's admitting he never tried to train him. He let Anakin down. Anakin goes, I hate you. I hate you. And then, of course, the twins are born. Leia, their mother, dies of a broken heart. If you go back to Return of the Jedi, Luke asks, what do you remember about your mother? She says she was crying. She's talking about the moment they were born. Her and Luke were born. Not talking about her adopted mother, but their mother, Amidala. Padme, I mean. And then Luke builds her, like I say, builds her confidence, and then she's like, I love you. He says, I love you, and she goes, I know. And, if people hadn't gotten all bitchy about the fucking prequels, George Lucas' plan was to have the Leia trilogy, where we finally see Leia get trained as a Jedi by her brother. It was going to be an amazing trilogy, with, I think, at the end, Han and Leia getting married, and then her getting pregnant. That probably was how he was going to, but you didn't wait. You got angry, you flipped out. This is what the problem with people who don't know how to just be patient. So then we get Disney buying it. And I know Russell said George Lucas. No. George Lucas didn't ruin it. It's just people didn't understand what he was doing. A lot of people hated the prequels. Some are coming around to realize they're actually good compared to what Disney. But here's the thing. Disney doesn't care about Star Wars. They care. They have the IP. They're going to do what they want. And that, I don't care anymore. I have the 6 films. I have the original Clone Wars animated series. I hate Dave Filoni's Clone Wars for several reasons. For one, he took away the idea that lightsabers kill, because he had Darth Maul, who had been cut in half and actually die, come back from the dead, and miraculously he survived. So Dave Filoni came up with the excuse that you can't be killed by a lightsaber. Stupid. But now, then we got Disney announcing a new trilogy. Oh boy, this trilogy was absolute pure dog shit. When I saw the trailer, I said, what's the one racist thing they do? Make the black guy a janitor. And they did that. J.J. Abrams claiming to be a fan of Star Wars is a joke. This guy doesn't know shit about Star Wars. Because for once, he got, let's look at who he got. Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca. You got Anthony Daniels as R2-D3, and the last time Kenny Baker, one of the last times Kenny Baker will actually play R2-D2. You have these actors, and what did he do? He separated them. How are you a fan? And had Luke not say one word. So, and here's the problem. Finn would have been a great person to become the new Jedi, to take over. No, he goes with the chick that has the personality of nothing. And literally, she is nothing. Because Abrams was asked, are you going to answer Snoke and Rey are? And he said, no, I'm going to leave it up to Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson's like, what? So he basically writes him off and says, you're a nobody, you come from shit, and you killed off Snoke, basically giving the middle finger to Abrams. And yes, The Last Jedi is shit because it had nothing to work with. The previous movie was shit. And this one, you have Finn being treated as horribly, like he's running away like a coward. Then he gets basically treated like shit by the Asian chick, and then is sexually assaulted when she forcibly kisses him when he could have sacrificed himself for the good cause. It had Luke Skywalker dropping dead. That doesn't seem like that should have happened. And then in The Rise of the Skywalker, Skankwalker, whatever you want to call it, they literally have Carrie Fisher died before the movie came out, and she died because of coke. Her years of using coke damaged her heart, just like with Rick James, and she died of a heart attack. on her, while she suffered a heart attack, they resuscitated, got her to California, where she died in the hospital later with her mother and daughter there. Feels Sarah, and her mother even said it's hard because the parents should not outlive their children or child. And so yeah. So when this comes out, they Mary Poppins the fuck out of Leia. They made it, what the fuck? It did things that the Force is not supposed to do, and Finn Balor becomes a coward. He's sexually assaulted, and Rey knows everything. Like in the first one, she called the Millennium Falcon garbage, and then she said, "We'll take the garbage," and then she fixed them without any know-how. She was able to miraculously make the Millennium Falcon better, even surprising Han Solo, and then she's able to use something Luke couldn't even do that Obi-Wan showed him, which was, basically control someone's mind. You using telepathy. Basically, you get Daniel Craig to come out of the closet and say he was gay. I'm joking. Yeah, and it was just, and having taken the name Ben, which was what Luke called his son when he had it with Mara Jade. Leia didn't know Obi-Wan Kenobi. She only called him General Kenobi because she never met him. Han made fun of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Luke was the only one, so why would they name their kid Ben Solo? It's a stupid thing. And so the last Jedi, or I call it The Last Retard, came out. It was terrible. The movie made no sense. It was a complete mess. I thought the chick who was the head stormtrooper was put in the trash compactor. Yeah, call back to when Leia almost got everybody killed in trash compactor. Put her, and then somehow she shows up towards the end of the Last Jedi, or The Last Retard. But then we get, okay, Luke and Leia are Palpatine's grandchildren. Okay, we find out in The Rise of the Skinkwalker that Rey is Palpatine's granddaughter by one of his clones. That's right, she's a Palpatine, because her daddy was a Palpatine clone, which makes no sense because he didn't look anything like Palpatine. And that makes her cousins with Luke and Leia. That means when she kissed her cousin Kylo Ren, it's freaky incest. It's weird how this family, women love to kiss the men in their families. But yeah, and The Last Jedi, Rise of the Skinkwalker was absolute dog shit. And apparently, from what I understand, Bob Iger wrote the script. It showed it was dog shit. We have Rey able to do things that she was never trained. Oh yeah, I forgot, in The Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker barely trains this skanky bitch, and she's able to be better than him. It's that whole idea that diversity. It's like, oh, we're gonna make Rey yeah, it was a pile of shit movie. And then The Rise of Skinkwalker had, I kid you not, revealed that Rey happens to be Palpatine's granddaughter through one of his clones that looked nothing like him. And apparently Snoke was his clone. Oh my god. So yeah, I will tell you, I love these movies. I love the original. Yeah, I've read the expanded, which George Lucas approved. But yeah, the midichlorians are not it's not the Force. If you ever read it, the bacteria just allows, the more you have, the stronger you are with the Force. So for all those people saying otherwise, eat shit. I don't care if you like the Disney Star. Go ahead and like it. You can like the Acolyte. I don't want to be told I'm something if I don't watch it or like it. It's just like Clownfish TV. They tell you they don't care if you like it. Just don't tell us we have to like something we don't like. I have the 6 films in the original Genndy. I don't like the new stuff, and I don't plan to watch any of it. I don't have Disney Plus, so I don't watch the Acolyte. It looked like absolute dog shit, but it's funny how the reactions to it were hilarious. It's just people that say the prequels are shit and George Lucas. No, there are 6 films. But you're wrong. You're wrong. Until you realize and you sit down and go, well, okay, midichlorians are not the Force. Then maybe you'll understand what George Lucas is trying to do. Not everything's perfect. I've had my problems, like I said before. But this is why I love Star Wars. It's a child's fantasy. And it's the reason you have Lord of the Rings, or you have all these other trilogies. Without Star Wars, you have nothing. Creativity, which was not what you call somewhat of the best, but Star Wars changed that. And really, it's a combination of George Lucas, Lawrence Kasdan, his ex-wife, the two directors who did Empire Return. But he did everything himself, and that was part of the problem. If he brought Lawrence Kasdan, he could have tightened up the scripts of especially the middle one, the Attack of the Clones, and made some changes that would have made some people understand what the midichlorians were, without actually coming out later and saying it's a conduit for the Force. So yeah, I just want to do this again because I'm I will literally defend the 6 Star Wars films. The prequels I love. Jar Jar Binks, I'm one of the few people that thinks he's a great character. I think the actor Armin Best did a great job. I feel bad for him getting told that he called the N-word and said he should lynch himself. He actually said that. I feel bad for Jake Lloyd. I don't know why anybody hated him as Anakin. I thought he did a great job. I like Jingle all the way. But yeah, Jake Lloyd was a really, really good Anakin Skywalker. I can't stand people that said we're going to kill him and his parents. Yeah, they sent death threats to him and his parents because they didn't like, for some reason, this kid playing young Anakin Skywalker. Fuck off. Yeah, you don't have to like George Lucas stuff. But you're wrong if you think he ruined Star Wars. No, Disney did. So yeah, I wanted to just touch on that real quick and explain why I love these movies. Yeah, I was a kid, I have the ability to think, like, when I watch this stuff, go back to my childhood and go, this is why I love Star Wars. It's just like a lot of things. When I watch something like, I liked as a kid, I can remember, like, Transformers. I hated the Transformers live action films. I thought they were all dog shit. I have the original animated one. But yeah, this is why I wanted to talk about it, because Star Wars really is the greatest 6 films with an animated that, and no, George Lucas did not ruin Star Wars. Disney did by buying it. Yeah, I don't care about the accolade. I think it's kind of funny when people get all upset over the stupidest shit ever written by an absolute idiot. And no, she is not. Leslie Hedlund did not know about what Harvey Weinstein was doing. And for Gary and all the others going, but she was his personal assistant. So you're giving a pass to Quentin Tarantino, who admitted, if I only spoke up, I could have stopped Harvey Weinstein. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck killing a story about Harvey Weinstein that would have exposed him sooner. You're forgetting about his wife, his secretary, his brother. Those people are more responsible than fucking Leslie Hedlund, who even said she didn't know. She didn't even like Harvey Weinstein. She had to pretend to like him because she wanted to move up in the company. She thought he was a creep, and she said that. None of the victims actually bring her name into it at all. You didn't even bother to look. Did any of the people that were molested by raped, did they actually say Leslie? Nope, I don't think they actually do. So yeah, she's treated like shit by Harvey. That's what personal assistants are. So back off and leave the woman alone. You're no different than when you say, I hate cancel culture. You want to ruin this woman. You want this woman to be killed. It's kind of, yeah. So I just want to do this real quick. This is Gilgamesh. I will talk to you later. Bye.